resto del sistema.
Thank you guys for coming over.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
You guys want to introduce yourselves, who you are, what you do, who you're with?
Ooh, do you want to go first or shall I?
You go first.
I'm Aja. We've met before.
Look at the camera.
Looking at the camera. I'm Aja. I'm the general manager at the Scottish Music Industry Association. My job means that I generally manage all of our projects, programs and activities and our lovely team.
My name is Daria Aja. I am a marketing and comms at the Scottish Music Industry Association. I'm also an artist manager in my spare time.
And can you tell me a bit about what the SMIA does, what you guys embody, just as a trade body in general?
Sure. So we're a free-to-join membership organisation representing just over 6,500 members now, all people working in or aspiring to work in music in Scotland. So our role is essentially to make sure that they have the support and the information that they need to take their next step in their careers, whether that's right at the very beginning or all the way through to kind of mid-career professionals. We also act as a trade body, so representing the voices of our members in parliamentary conversations, advocating for better circumstances, funding, situations within the music industry, and kind of generally championing the wants and needs of our members at that kind of high level with government and other legislative bodies.
Yeah, we do some really cool things for our members as well. We obviously do post a lot of opportunities. We get sent a lot of information from across the industry, which we obviously keep our membership and our audiences informed for that. We do our SMIA one-to-one member sessions where members can essentially book in for half an hour, a bit of advice, see if we can spin them in the right direction, do any sort of signposting with them, or just be a bit of an ear sometimes. And you might know us from some of our big flagship projects.
You may know us from.
Yeah, pretty much the Scottish Album of the Year Award, the SEA Awards. We also do the SMIA Summit and a whole host of other workshops and member sort of release things. You will see us at music events, usually with our pop-up banner, happy to chat to people and get to know the sort of industry in Scotland.
And I guess, like, you asked, what do we embody? And I guess as an organisation, we kind of exist, our kind of tagline is to strengthen, empower and unite Scotland's music industry. And it's sort of a little bit does what it says on the tin. Like, we all fundamentally believe in the like power and strength of Scottish music and Scottish storytelling. And the role of our company is to make sure that there is a strong and economically successful music industry in Scotland that's recognised both within the UK and the wider world. Like, Scotland punches above its weight and we want to keep it punching above its weight and make it a sustainable place for people to work in.
Okay, and what would you guys say is Scotland's biggest strength internationally and nationally?
Ooh.
Our community.
Yeah.
We do have a very strong music community, whether that's within the sort of professional sphere, the music sphere, the grassroots spheres, like just genuinely, yeah. Like, it's almost like even when you go internationally, or even you look at my sort of tagline I always say to people is like, so when you look at a festival poster anywhere in the world, you'll 100% see a Scottish band. So we're consistently punching above our weight when it comes to these things. Our industry is quite small up here, but like, can you imagine, like, yeah, any festival poster and like across the world, we're on there. So it's definitely a sort of strength within that.
Yeah, and I think, like, I would echo that as like an outsider having come up from England. Like, you enter the Scottish music scene and immediately you're signposted to like someone else who you could be chatting to, or you'll meet someone and you'll become their friend and they'll introduce you to their friends. Like, there's a really like community spirit to it, and I think it's also got a really exciting grassroots and DIY scene, and that's where some of like the most exciting stuff is happening for me in Scotland, is like small projects that start off and they explode, and there's a real like innovation and creativity to the scene up here, I think. Also, it's just really lovely and full of lovely people, and that goes a long way in industry, I think. Like, people in Scotland, you know, like bands are coming and playing at the Barrowland and saying, you know, Scottish audiences are some of the best audiences they can perform for. Like, the hospitality of the Scots for artists is really known internationally as well. It's not just how great our artists are, it's how great our fans are.
I think, like, as an outside perspective, as somebody who's just been a fan and going to the Barrowlands more times than I can count. Yeah, I think every show you ever go to is Glasgow's the headline. Like, the biggest part of the tour. Like, they want to play Glasgow and they're excited to be there. And it's almost always one of the best shows.
Yeah, it's completely buzzing. And I think even like just talking of Barrowlands, like, we've got some absolutely iconic venues in Scotland that artists want to play because of the like cultural legacy that they've got. You know, you've got King Tut's, you've got Sneakies, you've got these venues which are almost like going to CBGBs. You know, they've got a reputation that's known about, and they're destinations in and of themselves for bands to come and play.
The sort of interesting thing you'll see on flights of tours within Scotland, like, or even in Glasgow, like you see that like massive bands won't play Saturdays, they'll play a Tuesday night, and it would just be as rammed and as busy as it would have been if they were playing a sort of weekend anywhere else. It's really interesting, and it just means that like, yeah, audiences to go out to shows. Like we do have people turning up at venues all the time. Like you will literally, you could be sitting there on a Monday night like, oh, I'm bored, want to go do something will be on somewhere.
I mean, that's the biggest benefit of having in places like King Tut's, Sleazy's, Garage, like these like iconic venues who have just sat on the pillars of cultural heritage.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a 10, 15-year thing.
They're incubators for like, I mean, grassroots music venues are so vital to like the scene, not just as a place to perform and to gather with your friends, but like for where people really cut their teeth in learning how to perform, where you can discover the next new big artist, and they're institutions and they're vital, really.
Well, question for you guys then: who's your next big new artist in Scotland?
It's so difficult because there's so many good ones. And like, I don't want to like stick my flag in the ground for one person, but if I was going to say like, so I was at the BBC Introducing Scotland Sound of the Year Awards where Alice Faye won. And I think Alice is, you know, obviously I'm a little bit biased because they won Sound of It in Scotland, but I think that she's got such a distinct and unique voice and sound and style, and she's the whole package. And I'm like, I just like stan Alice Faye. So like, if I'm like, that's my kind of like, it's a good tie to the work that we do. But also I think she's just fantastic, and I really like wish her all the success in the world, and things seem to be going in the right direction. So that's my hit, I suppose. If I had to choose.
Yeah. It was really nice because we were all there at the SMIA award ceremony last year.
You and I were hunting down, weren't we?
Yeah. Just have the baseball cap on.
Yeah. Radio, mic. I've got eyes on.
It was just amazing because obviously we're signed against Scotland process. It is very much like anyone can apply, and it's a funding package worth up to about 10 grand.
Yeah.
And it is an opportunity for an artist that's never released an album before to record their debut album. It's amazing, you know, it's free to essentially apply for it as well. And I think we always have like hundreds of applications. We always encourage everyone to also just put your application in. Because again, it's better to be seen than not, to almost like throw your hat in the ring. And obviously Alice then made obviously the finalists, and then she found out on the night, and it's honestly amazing that, you know, she won it. I remember obviously she got her award, and we were all sort of like in the sort of backstage bit and the sort of madness, and she was just like so grateful. It was so exciting for her, and you know, you just like joining in that sort of joy of someone getting that recognition. Honestly, it's just a really nice sort of part of obviously the SMIA award and the things we can be involved in. Like, I get that obviously sometimes it feels as the odds are stacked against you, because again, there's so many amazing artists. I mean, every year for obviously the SMIA award, last year we had 401 eligible album submissions from Scotland, and which obviously it's incredible for the output that we have. And obviously we'd love to award everyone, but this is just the way the process works, and we obviously we'll then have obviously the long list of 20 to then obviously short list of 10 and the one winner. But it's mental the amount of output that we've got just within Scotland alone, like you said.
I mean, the SMIA Award as well was always designed to be a celebration of all of the incredible recorded music that's coming out of Scotland. It's why, throughout the process, it's not just about spotlighting the long list. It's every album that is eligible and gets submitted is on the website and can be listened to by everyone, and it's about involving the fans in the process as well as the judges, with the public vote and things like that, making sure that it is really representative of what is happening and what the sound is of Scotland now and what the stories are that we're telling. We've diverted completely from the original question, and I think that's Daria trying to get away from naming her choices.
You're asking me this question.
Putting you on the spot, Daria.
With so many wonderful artists. I want to say every single artist in Scotland ever is amazing. Okay, cool. We were actually spinning ideas about obviously how to answer this question as well. Now I'm going to do it. I manage a brilliant electronic two-piece, a roller disco death party. They are honestly brilliant. They work so hard. It is a shameless plug. It is like, what kind of manager would I be if I wasn't doing this, you know? They're honestly brilliant. They're amazing. They're having a sort of brilliant year of essentially just kind of figuring out where they want to obviously push their sound. It's a sort of interesting mix of obviously Live Simpson, a live drummer, actually on stage. It's brilliant. Their set is essentially like a continuous DJ set. So yeah, they've got a good amount of shows going at festivals and stuff they're doing this year. But if I was to give you a sort of answer of like, of course you're going to go for your artist, right? Of course you're going to plug them. I'm a massive Gallows fan. They're also another band that, you know, I want to say grew up with. I've known them for a very long time. And, you know, they're again another band that works really hard. Barry's lyricism is always just so interesting. It's equally like funny, tongue-in-cheek, but at times very like vulnerable. And yeah, it's just they're an exciting band, and you're always really sort of happy for bands to do it, but for a lot of different sort of stuff. Because again, the interesting thing with like obviously the Scottish music scene in general, again, we sort of laugh and joke that I end up knowing a lot of different people, and your degrees of separation are in the negatives because everyone kind of knows everyone. Because of that, it's almost like you end up almost being a sort of grassroots level of like bands that maybe form to get together, and then they break up, and then they form new bands with different people, and then you're almost on that journey, and you get to watch like people go from playing these tiny little dingy shows where there's 5 people to all of a sudden they're selling out like the Barras, you know, and you get to be part of that journey because you kind of know them. And that sort of goes back to what we were saying about the fact that we've got such a strong music community up here that I think there's an element of like, you'd assume that everyone would be in competition and everyone would be like, oh, they're doing better than me. I don't think we really have that. I think it's more people are supportive and happy. And okay, cool, the music might not be your bag. You might be like, I actually really don't like this. But most of the time you'll be like, do you know what? Fair play to them. Yeah, you want them to really well. Why not?
I think one of my favourite parts of the SMIA Awards, well, 2 of the favourite parts was following the finalists and who had won. Yeah. And watching you go up to Alice Faye and tap her on the shoulder and just watching her face drop because she'd clocked why she's getting her shoulder tapped. And then standing
marching her to stage.
like drop everything, and she's like, huh? And then beeline. But for me it was Tyrese.
I mean, great. It's such a good album.
But it was watching from like 5 feet away. I wish I had my phone up to be able to record it tonight. There was such a beautiful moment of just then hearing their name, every single one of them turning and looking at each other, and then just
losing it.
Yeah, highlighting like, and it was just so sweet because you watch 5 friends who built something together. They said in the interview beforehand that they didn't think they had a shot in the dark to win it, and then.
But that's what's so great, I think, about the SMIA Award. And like even the year before when Redolent won, you know, one of their band was on holiday and they had to like video call him in for the interviews afterwards. And you know, it's such an authentically like, it's just lovely when you see the surprise and the honor. And you know, I love that moment. Like every year at the SMIA Awards, like when you find out and you just like. It's like watching a groom turn around when they see the bride coming down the aisle. Do you know what I mean? It's like a special moment where you can watch them have this moment of realization, and it's like gives you all this warmth in your heart. And then like you because you've become invested. Like we play a very small part in these artists' journeys, and like it's honestly it's all up to them and their creative talent and skill, and like. Hands down, they're all fantastic, but it's nice to be able to play just a tiny bit within their bigger story and follow them for the rest of their careers, you know?
And I suppose for context, so obviously with the award process, because again, no one really knows how award ceremonies work, but we do have a sort of process that we're pretty upfront about how we actually do it. So obviously we've got eligibility period. Anyone can submit an album. You don't need to be the artist. You can just be a music fan, and it's obviously free for our website during a sort of about a month that we have it kind of open for, typically during the summer. And then from that, those every single our album on that list is then checked for eligibility. We do this manually. I'm pretty sure that I had to look in the back end of our website, and I think we checked through something like 1,600 albums. So obviously, and again, it could be things like repeat submissions or, you know, wrong links, for example. we do this manually. No AI or anything. It's just us at computers. And then from that, obviously, we then ask 100 impartial nominators from across the Scottish music industry to essentially their top 5. Now, impartial means that, of course, we're not going to ask the managers to essentially do that because, again, of course, we're going to vote for their artists. Of course, we're not going to ask record labels because, of course, they're going to submit their own artists, but maybe something like a venue or a promoter or, say, for example, someone does also wear multiple hats. Maybe they're also an artist, but as long as they're not released in that year, and obviously they're not going to vote for their album, then, if they've got multiple jobs and stuff, we obviously do consider them for this. Then from that, we get our long list of 20. And that's when we then implement a judging panel of judges from across the UK, across obviously from Scotland as well, and that sort of fit different criteria. And then from that, they then have to decide on the shortlist. But there is a public vote element, so you can vote for one album from the long list into the shortlist. So, we do let fans also have a say in this. And then from then on, we literally, as you will know from working the ceremony, the winner gets decided on the day. No pre-recorded, no.
It's a surprise at the ceremony.
It is a surprise at the ceremony. So that's a little bit of insight behind the curtain and things that obviously we do at the ceremony when it actually happens. So it's always tremendous fun. It's always a lovely night. And we're really excited to obviously have another one this year.
15th anniversary.
15 years with the sale.
This will be our 15th year, yeah.
Dundee again?
Dundee again, yeah.
Oh, Dundee.
Yeah.
One of a totally different point. It's been nice seeing Dundee's music scene.
Oh, yeah.
Really, having gone up there and church being a hub and you having all these places, but it's been turbulent. It's a great scene, but there has been any changeovers. You've seen them open and close within the same year, and it's nothing to do with them. It's
been a really challenging, hard time period for economic instability. It is really difficult, and the challenges that venues are facing is really hard. But it's nice to be able to, it's the first time we've taken the Say Award outside the Central Belt, and it's something that we were really keen to do as an organisation. And we are the Scottish Music Industry Association, and we need to be getting outside and making sure that we are across Scotland. And so it was something that we were really keen to do, and it's a great city to be in. It's got fantastic creative hubs and creative people, and the team that we're working with in Dundee are also fantastic. So it's been almost why didn't we do this before?
There are cities outside the Central Belt. Who knew?
Very few people.
To let people know that there are actual cities, No, it's honestly been great. And obviously, the music sort of history that Dundee has in general as well. It was really interesting. I was being in here to hold that venue and speaking to the staff that worked here for years that are like, oh yeah, we had this band play. We had this band play before. It was like
the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Didn't David Bowie play there?
Something like that, yeah. Something mental. And they're like, yeah, they all stopped off here. And we're like, of course they did.
Yeah.
I think the Dam played there a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Amazing.
old tour. It was their comeback tour, and they were just like 2018. Everybody's like, "What do you mean the Damned are playing in Carrot Hall?"
I'm like,
yes. Dundee has something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I think, it's also a city that's really steeped in its kind of cultural heritage more broadly than music. And it's been really nice to be, the album as an art form is both a musical and a physical product. It's a combination of music and design and album artwork. And, it's really been nice kind of working with the V&A Dundee and UNESCO Dundee City of Design on the kind of elements that wrap around the album and the ways that we can bring that kind of visual storytelling into what we're doing with the Say Award as well.
And we kind of strive more towards you guys on a personal sense of the SMIA. What drew you towards working with a charity body? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you as that kind of aspect of the music industry?
You want me to go first?
Sure, yeah.
So I kind of got into the music industry in a bit of a strange way, in that I always wanted to work in live events. That was kind of what I started off doing, kind of theatre productions, basically, when I was at university. I did an English literature degree, and then started working in live and in kind of multi-art spaces. And then when the pandemic happened, I was fortunate enough to go and work for a funder. And it was great, you know, having been in live and then having transitioned to what is essentially an office job just in the nick of time. And, you know, really seeing how difficult that period was for a lot of my friends. I was incredibly fortunate, but working as a funder, you really get to kind of take a step back from the delivery of projects. You get to see a little bit more of the kind of big picture. And, you know, when I was working in venues, you're running around all the time, you're delivering. There's a show this night, show this night, show this night, tech spec, advancing, you know, you're on. And when I got that opportunity and, you know, I'm fortunate enough that it happened, to kind of take a step back and look at like, oh, there's a whole ecosystem here. There's a whole infrastructure here that's connected, and some places are really harmonizing, and in other areas there's a kind of discordance. And where can we strategically intervene to kind of make that whole system more harmonious? And that is what kind of really drew me to the SMIA. Is I used to get quite frustrated in London working for funders, in that you know, where Scotland has a difficulty with centralisation, so does the UK. And being based in London, it felt like I wanted to really show up for places that maybe weren't getting as much of their voices heard in those rooms. So I did a lot of work with like Wales as a nation, and one of my jobs as a funder, and kind of always wanted to move to Scotland. And so when you look at the intersection of things like big picture strategic view, like interventions to make the system more harmonious and supportive, and kind of wanting to stand up for the little guy, it's kind of like, oh, well, that's a bit of a no-brainer. Maybe we should go work at the SMIA. What about you?
Oh God, for me in the SMIA, well, I remember when I was a student, I would go along to all the events and stuff that they would actually have panels and talks and sessions. I was always a member, and I did go for music education. I took that sort of traditional path, and I remember then obviously also staying on because I was in the pandemic graduating year, so I also did the masters because again we were totally chained into cyber because our industry had shut down, and it was a massive panic about that. So I left the industry because I went to go get a normal job, shall we say, because I just couldn't get a job. I think it was just obviously the instability of obviously the pandemic, and I was that kid from that class where all my friends got jobs, I did not. So I remember, like as I always say, like they were all in the room and I'm standing outside the room looking at all them in the room like, I want to be in that room. You know, it just almost wasn't my time, I want to say, in that sort of way. And I'm saying this because I remember a job at the SMIA eventually came up. And so I applied. I flung my CV in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to maybe get my job in music. I've obviously been a member for so long. I've seen things they do. I've constantly followed them on social media. Like, obviously, they're on the SMIA award. It's so exciting, so amazing. Because, again, they've always been such an ingrained part of essentially music education. Everyone knows what the SMIA is, you know? And you're always encouraged to join as a member. And then I had a moment of doubt, and I didn't take the interview. I don't know why. I know. And that's the thing. I didn't. And I remember that a chunk of time passed, and I remember one Tuesday night, literally sitting crying in the bus. Like, why didn't I take that job? Why didn't I take that interview? I got offered an interview. I just turned it down. Like, why did I do that? Like, why didn't I just take that leap in? I should have done it. Like it was, and I literally said the words, if that job was to come up tomorrow, I'd apply. Like I shouldn't have done that. The next day, honestly, it was one of the spookiest things that ever happened. It was the next day, I was sitting in my job that it wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. And I was sitting at lunchtime just scrolling through Facebook, and I saw the job. I saw the job. This was probably like, 4 o'clock, I saw the job. I was home. 6:30, I sent in my CV again, and I got offered an interview again at the same time. And you know, and I got the job. And it was probably one of the spookiest experiences I've ever had, per se. That imagine that last night I'm crying about a job that I wish I took, and the next day it comes up again. Like it was almost like pretty serendipitous. So yeah, I joined the SMIA. Oh yeah,
Daria's really into it.
Yeah, some spooky things. I do believe.
We were talking about like serendipity, like literally yesterday, weren't we?
Oh yeah, like sometimes I feel like I say things out loud and they come into the universe. And to be fair, you can't convince me that if you're crying about a job and then it comes up the next day, that isn't something,
Yeah.
universal, shall we say.
I'm far more practical. Why we work as a team.
We do. We balance each other, shall we say.
And how does it feel to work with that team as the SMIA? Obviously, you've got you two, Bashti and Robert. And it's a small team for a big job.
Yeah.
But is it that cohesiveness between you lot that make it work, or is it just sheer will?
I mean, I think we're an incredibly collaborative team.
Yes.
Like, we all work, we're really dedicated and we are really hardworking, but also we know that in order to get the best out of the people we work with, we can't let ourselves burn out. We can't completely, run ourselves ragged. And I think that we've got a really positive workplace culture. And yeah, it is a lot. We do a lot. And we do have a fantastic team of freelancers that we bring on for a variety of different projects just to help us with the delivery of things. So, when we need to scale up, we do. But I also think that the great thing about our team, and also just in more widely working in music, is people love it. And it is a passion. And I think that we're all really aligned as a team in striving towards the same goals, and that's just really helpful, knowing what the direction of travel is and all kind of doing the various bits that we need to collectively move in that way.
I mean, a lot of the time, with a lot of the work that we do, it is very bigger picture thinking. So you're not just thinking about, okay, cool, I'm waking up enjoying going to my job, enjoy what I do. There's a bigger mission to it.
Yeah.
So you do feel connected to the work in that sort of way. It makes you want to do it. And when you obviously when good things happen, the sort of things pull through that you've been working on for so long, whether that's we're petitioning the government for something, or anything that within that sort of remit that pulls through, it kind of makes it worth all the stress per se. But also, and everything that's out of the music industry, it's a magic place to work. Magic things happen all the time. I guess that's not
magic thing.
The magic of a guest list. All of a sudden, you weren't going to go to a show, but then someone because you can get a ticket sold out, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, I can put you on the list if you want." That's the coolest thing in the world. It is one of the coolest industries in the world, and we just get to play a sort of small chunk in it, which is always really, really exciting. And yeah, our team is brilliant. We all sort of balance each other very, very well. We work really hard. There is only 4 of us. We're a very small team for the things that we do. But it's a lot of the time that's kind of what happens to organisations in Scotland. So a lot less people than you do some working behind some of the bigger sort of organisations that we do have, because we're in a small industry. But I'd say that, yeah, because you end up knowing so many different people that, you sort of connect with and work with. And it's almost like that community network. We do all help each other out because we understand obviously how hard that is as well.
What is something Scotland can do that other countries are doing right now to kind of help pull in that same direction?
We're going to talk about the thing that we always want to talk about, and
tricky to know. I mean, I think one thing that has recently happened that's a really great step in the right direction is Scottish Government recently released an additional £300,000 towards international touring, and we at the SMIA, we're really keen to explore the potential of a Scottish music export office, and whether that's simply supporting with information around how we can best facilitate those routes for domestic artists to take their pathways internationally, but also kind of the cultural exchange of being able to collaborate internationally. So I think there are loads of really interesting models across different countries, whether that's, France or the kind of Scandinavian countries, or even Australia and Canada have really interesting models for how they can support artists with that kind of wider than domestic growth, both economically and kind of culturally. And I think that's something that we are really keen to look at and explore. And there are also some great organisations in Scotland also working internationally, Wide Days, Showcase Scotland Expo. There's lots of great stuff that the British Council do in terms of cultural exchange. But I think that would be something that we could learn from some of the models abroad and think about how we could maybe adapt that for a Scottish context. That'd be what I would say.
Yeah, there's also the sort of really interesting conversations about universal basic income for artists that obviously was potentially trialled in Ireland, and you obviously look at the sort of artists and stuff who are coming from that sort of region of the world, and they're all brilliant, they're all doing amazing, and that'd be something that we could maybe implement for our artists here, especially again, like I said, we're on every single festival lineup, we're consistently punching above our weight, but maybe we get a bit of support for that to actually make that happen, or maybe even strengthen that, which would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we need to like dig into, but like, the initial research from that pilot is really strong.
Yeah.
I understand that there are like things that need to be weighed up from a government perspective, but it's an interesting principle to kind of dig further into.
I'll need to double check, but am I correct in saying that it was Fontaines and Kneecap were two of the lot that were a part of the original?
I can't remember whether they are actually I don't know.
I feel like they were part of like an initial scheme.
Yeah, because it was piloted and then it's been now put in law, I think. I mean, the report is really interesting reading. If anyone wants to read it, it's the sort of thing I like to do once a day. I think
you finish work and all of a sudden you're going through the
it's like basically I do a lot of like digging deep into like research reports. I'm a stats girl. I love it.
I mean, I go to shows. I go gigs.
We got hikes and stats, and we got gigs.
Yes. Who's the cool one now?
This is it, and this is how you work well as a team.
I think that's me for questions. If there's anything you guys want to add.
No, just that you cooked a great dinner.
Thank you.
And we loved it.
It was like you for lower.
Yeah, and thank you for having us. And we definitely want some recipes, please.
We'll be sending recipes over.
Yeah, and again, our membership is free, open to anyone working in or aspiring to working in Scotland. Just go to smia.org.uk and join as a member.
Thank you very much.
Clever.